Give a human being absolute authority and watch how quickly their moral compass shatters. In politics, business, and everyday life, influence carries a corrupting weight. In Islamic tradition, this phenomenon is known as a fitna. A fitna is a severe spiritual and psychological test that can easily lead a person astray. The trial of power, specifically, feeds the ego and tempts the strong to exploit the weak. Chapter 18 of the Quran, Surah Al-Kahf, provides a specific response to this disease. It introduces Dhul-Qarnayn. Dhul-Qarnayn translates to the two-horned one, denoting a ruler whose vast geopolitical dominion spanned from the eastern to the western edges of the earth. For centuries, many classical scholars linked this enigmatic figure to the legendary conquests of Alexander the Great. However, modern historians frequently point to Cyrus the Great of Persia, citing his documented monotheism and historically just rule. The Quran itself deliberately leaves out exact dates and geographical coordinates. It strips away the historical trivia to focus entirely on the moral archetype of a perfectly just ruler. It presents a human being who held the entire world in his hands, yet completely refused to let that power enter his heart. His narrative reveals that surviving the trial of power is not contingent on political resources, but on the specific spiritual and intellectual tools used to navigate them. This map illustrates the staggering scale of his divinely granted empire, spanning the known globe. His first journey takes him to the far west, to a place the text describes as the Muddy Spring, where he encounters a society completely at his mercy. He bypasses the standard imperial playbook of tyranny and extraction. He establishes strict justice, choosing to punish only the oppressors while rewarding the righteous. On his second journey to the Far East, he encounters a society the Quran describes as having no shelter from the sun, a deeply vulnerable, primitive community exposed to the harshest elements. Faced with a helpless population, an ordinary emperor would extract their resources. Dhul-Qarnayn exercises absolute restraint. He leaves their fragile way of life completely intact and walks away. These two journeys redefine true strength. Power is a trust used to enforce fairness, and true strength frequently requires withholding your might to protect human dignity. His third journey leads him to a valley situated between two massive mountains, where he finds a civilization terrorized by Gog and Magog. The Quran defines them as corruptors in the land, a relentless force seeking only to consume and destroy. They represent the archetype of ultimate chaos, a powerful, numerous, and seemingly unstoppable force that lacks a moral compass and ruthlessly preys on the weak. The terrorized locals make a desperate offer. They attempt to buy his protection, offering him a massive tribute of their wealth. He flatly refuses the money. He tells them that what his lord has established him with is better, proving that a truly just leader cannot be bought, compromised, or incentivized by personal enrichment. Instead of acting as a mercenary, he organizes the locals. He instructs them to gather massive blocks of iron, heating them until they glow, and pours molten copper over the structure to fuse it together. He uses his engineering knowledge and their raw materials to build a systemic, impenetrable wall against corruption. He empowers the community to protect themselves long after he is gone. When we understand Gog and Magog as a symbol for any force that exploits the vulnerable for the sake of power, the ancient narrative takes on a modern weight. It provides the framework for identifying any systemic force, whether political or economic, that lacks a moral compass. If you sit on a corporate board, lead a community, or manage a team, you are facing your own test of power. You have the choice to either ignore the chaos or, like Dhul-Qarnayn, use your influence to build walls of justice. Yet, having completed a project that would define his legacy, Dhul-Qarnayn avoids any hint of pride. He recognizes that even the strongest barrier is subject to the passage of time. He looks at the massive structure and declares, "This is a mercy from my Lord. But when the promise of my Lord comes, he will level it to the ground." Every earthly empire, every corporate structure, and every physical monument is temporary. Eventually, by divine decree, all of it will crumble. We do not establish justice because the structures themselves will last forever. We build them because the act of protecting others is a divine mercy, And that is the only thing that truly endures.